may isang malaking kaganapan na mangyayari, di ba? Earth-shaking na nakakatulad-tang na yun ang hinihintay ng mga pink, yun ang pinagdarasal ng mga red na huwag mangyari. Ganun naman yun eh.
Are you proud of her, of how she tackled all the questions?
Actually, yes. My only problem is people might think that she's the one running because she was answering policies of government, my position and stance, should I be elected. We have these conversations usually every night. In fact, nilabas yata niya sa isang vlog niya na paggabi may oras, over a glass of wine, natututo kami sa isa't isa. Pinag-uusapan niya yung mga bagong chismis sa showbiz, trends in the fashion industry. Ako naman, gobyerno, kasaysayan at anumang tanong na meron siya. Kaugnay sa pagpapatakbo ng gobyerno sa ating bansa. So I guess she picked up some of those from that conversation that we've been having. But yes, definitely, I was very proud of her. She's in Pangasinan right now. Actually, she just left Pangasinan on her way to Tarlac and Pampanga, and she also had press cons. She was asked, I think, about PPP, and she had a vague knowledge about the specifics of PPP, but was still able to handle herself. So definitely yes. But having said that, may kasunduan kami ni Hart. Ewan ko kung sinabi sa inyo. Kailan, bago pa kami kinasal, nagkasundo kami. Kailanman hindi siya papasok sa politika. Hindi siya tatakbo sa anumang pwesto. Ang kapalit nun, kailanman hindi rin ako papasok sa showbiz. Iwan siya. Kasi sa trabaho niya, pwede siya makipagyakapan at halikan. Ako hindi. Pag ginawa ko yun sa trabaho ko, yari ako. But we prefer na magkaiba ng mundo ang pinanggagalingan namin para natututo kami sa isa't isa. Kesa pareho yung mundo namin. Yung kagalit niya, kagalit ko. Yung kagalit ko, kagalit din niya. Ang hirap naman mabuhay ng gano'n, di ba? Pag masama yung araw niya, masama rin agad yung araw ko pag pareho kami ng mundo. Ang mas maganda naman kaya kami ng mundo. Pag masama araw ko, malay mo. The main reason why I ran would be this. Whatever it is I do as governor of the province of Sorsogon, given the pandemic, given the problems brought about by the pandemic, I can only reach as far. There is a glass ceiling I cannot go beyond. Given that province of Sorsogon will not go up unless the entire country goes up. That's the main reason why I'm running, to recover from the pandemic. Ano mang talino, talento, galing, karanasan, tapang meron ako, yun ang iniaalay ko sa muling pagtakbo. But to mention a few, number one, not necessarily in this order. Number one, to promote the autonomy of local governments, I discovered as governor that there are a lot of limitations on local autonomy. I am of the firm belief that governors and mayors believe and know what needs to be done in their respective areas compared to any national official that doesn't even visit our province. Number two, for example, do you know that the provincial ordinance providing for the budget of the provinces of Cebu needs to be approved by the regional office of the DBM? How is that? Why is that? It's our era. It's our locally generated revenue sources. So why does it need to be approved by DBM? Do they think even for a minute that they know better than we do? I don't think that should be the case. That's not found in any laws. It was merely via memoranda issued and circulars issued by the COA, DBM, and DALG. That should be changed and that should be corrected. Local government units know far better what needs to be done. Even this IATF, any lockdowns, any restrictions must be decided upon by the local government as well, not by the national government. Take for example Sorsogon. We've had 0 cases for the past 3 weeks and still we are at level 2. I do not understand why, where, and when that can happen. If only they knew the situation we have in Sorsogon. Number two would be, aside from local autonomy, number two would be to focus on MSMEs. That is the key towards recovering, towards economic recovery. Why? 90% of our economy is comprised of MSMEs, as Hart told you. Again, we've been having these conversations over and over. Focusing third on agriculture. But to add to what Hart said probably when she met with you, I also want to pursue a law that will repeal the Oil Deregulation Act. It has clearly not lived to its promises. Why? Saan kayo nakakita ng batas na yung mayamang may-ari ng gasolinahan pwede magtaas ng presyo kahit kailan? Pero yung pobreng tsuper, driver ng jeep at
Hindi
tricycle,
pwede.
kailangan magpaalam sa LTFRB at sa local government
Exactly.
bago sila makapagtaas ng pamasahe. There's a basic principle in law that says, those who have less in life should have more in law. Clearly, this law is the opposite. The richer people in society have more rights under this law than the poorer members of society. Enough reason to repeal that law. Number two would be to pass a legislated minimum wage increase. Clearly again, the regional wage boards have not done their jobs. Any increase they have given for the past 10 years, all favor business, never the employee. Ano ba naman yung isa o dalawa sa increase na pasahan nila? Yung sa manggagawa naman. Yung 8, sige, pabor na sa negosyante. It means life and death on the part of the worker. It just means simply less profits for the businessman. It won't make him poor, won't make him hungry. He will still have enough money for his family. But it's a different story for workers. It means life and death for the workers' families unless we give them what is needed. I want to ask the regional wage boards, if you have a friend that's a member of the regional wage board, kindly convey a question. Saan ba sila nag-grocery? Saan ba sila namamalengke para sabihin nila na sapat na yung ganong kaliit na sweldo kada araw para mabuhay ang isang pamilya? Baka naman sikreto sila, ituro na nila sa atin para hindi na rin ako magreklamo laban sa kanila. Next would be the passage of an Odette rehabilitation bill. Odette devastated or affected the lives of 3.1 million Filipinos. Compare that to Yolanda. Yolanda affected the lives of 3.2 million Filipinos, 100,000 difference. And yet government passed a Yolanda rehabilitation bill worth 20 billion. With Odette, I don't see anything. In fact, if you ask any local government unit about the provinces I visited, you hear complaints that the national government did not give enough help, and clearly, LGU funds are not enough to rehabilitate Odette-stricken areas. I seek to pass another 20 billion Odette rehabilitation fund in order to help LGUs affected by that calamity. Although there were less people affected by Odette compared to Yolanda, it affected more municipalities, more regions, and more provinces compared to Yolanda. That would be to name a few, unless we spend the entire afternoon talking about what needs to be done in our country. I would rather pass a law or a constitutional amendment providing for a framework whereby an area can be given similar rights to a federal state if they are qualified, but not to implement it in the entire country. Why? Our closest experiment to federalism are in two areas provided for in the Constitution. The two autonomous regions, Cordillera Autonomous Region or CAR, and the Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao, now called BARM. CAR has never been implemented since 1986 for the past 35 years. It has lost in 3 plebiscites. So up to now, it has not been implemented. BARM, which used to be ARM, is yet to be perfected by Congress. If we haven't implemented it in one region, and is still in the process of perfecting it in one region, why will we do it in the entire country? Can't we perfect it first in these 2 regions before doing it in the entire country? Second, we need money for programs and projects that will uplift the lives of the poor. You want us to spend more money for an additional layer of government? So panibagong opisina, panibagong sekretary, panibagong mga senador, panibagong mga congressman sa kada reyon? Don't we have enough officials already in government? So I'd rather spend the money for additional programs, activities, and projects that will help the poor, instead of hiring more people to work for government or to work in government. One more example. If NCR or Calabar Zone or Region 7 is declared as a federal state, that means all of the money generated in these areas will go to them and cannot be shared to any other part of the country. Saan ngayon kukuha ng pondo ang national government pangtulong sa mga probinsyang mahirap? Nobody proposing federalism has ever answered that basic and simple question. Take for example BARM. The total revenue of BARM, the entire region, because it is the poorest region in the country, is only about 4 billion a year. The total subsidy being given to BARM by the national government is about 140 billion. Now you tell me, are they really independent? Are they really free? If they're dependent on funding to the tune of 95% from the national government. Again, it raises a basic question as to how it will be run and how they will run it and how truly they will decide on their own destiny if the money that they're using to spend for that destiny is coming from and being given by the national government and not self-generated. Sa ngayon, hindi posible yan dahil tinanggal ng taon ng budget ang pondo ng NFA. Kung ibabalik ang pondo ng NFA, posible at kayang gawin yun. You have to go back in time. Why was NFA invented? Government considers NFA as a GOCC, Government-Owned and Controlled Corporation. Now, once you use the word corporation, you look at the balance sheet. Kumikita ba o lugi? So sa sobrang lugi ng NFA sa nagdaang mga dekada, nagpasya ang gobyerno na limitahan na ang pondo para dito para mabayaran yung utang. Kasi nga, korporasyon ang tingin. But they have to bear in mind, historically, NFA was not considered a government-owned and controlled corporation. NFA was a government agency designed to lose money. Why is it designed to lose money? The basic mandate of the NFA, when it was created sometime in 1979, was basically to buy palay at a high price so that the farmers will earn and continue to plant and sell rice at a lower cost to consumers. Hindi siya korporasyon, hindi siya negosyo. That agency was indeed designed to lose money. So if you ask me, can it be done now? No. But can it be done under a new administration? Yes, if the administration will provide NFA enough funding to precisely do that function all over again. Right now, the ability of NFA to buy palay is only at 5% of total production at 19 pesos per kilo. Ang gagawin lang ng mga trader at miller, iintayin maubos yung pondo ng NFA, babaratin na yung magsasaka at bibili ng 14 at 12 pesos. Lugi pa yung magsasaka. Hindi madiktahan ng gobyerno yung presyo sa mas mataas dahil alam ng trader at miller, konti lang kayang bilhin ito, sa atin din tatakbo yan. That's why NFA has not been as effective insofar as controlling the price is concerned. But if you will fund NFA to precisely do the mandate it was originally designed to perform, then it can be done. Sorsogon is comprised of 14 towns and 1 city. We only have 1 city in the province. It is coastal. 14 out of 15 towns and city is coastal, meaning they all have beaches. Only 1 town is landlocked, the town of Irosin. But it was blessed by God with having hot springs. So maganda yung balance ng lalawigan ng tourism-wise. That's where Bulusan Lake is found. It is one of the largest lakes in the country, and we recently just renovated it too. Whale sharks are found in only 2 places in the country. One where you feed them, the other one where they naturally follow their habitat, which is migratory. So they're only in Sorsogon from November until May. Previous to the discovery of whale sharks in Donsol, it was only found in 1 place in the world, regularly found, in Ningaloo in Australia. But you have to travel about an hour by plane from Sydney, and then still travel by boat by another hour. In Donsol, for example, very much like here, it's right there, a few meters from the highway. So that's where the whale sharks are found too. We have our own cuisine, which I hope you would try and learn as well. Kaya lang ang Bicolano, alam niyo naman ang pagkain namin ay maanghang. Kaya daw mainit lahat ng mga Bicolano. Maanghang ang kinakain. Dapat tinanong nyo kay Hart yan. I just recently renovated our provincial capital complex because the buildings were constructed in 1916. So they are 125 years old this year. And hopefully you can see how we renovated it, restored it rather, not renovated it. And hopefully you get to experience a different place. Maganda ang Cebu, maganda ang Kapitolyo ng Cebu. Mas matanda lang ng konti ang Kapitolyo ng Sorsogon. It was constructed in 1916. Yours was constructed in if I'm not mistaken, if I read the inscription in your Capitol building in 1937. Kasi nakalimutan ko na yung Roman numeral ko eh. Ang ko MCN XXX. Yung nakita ko kanina eh. I just saw it earlier. So please, you're welcome, whether I'm governor or not, whether I win or lose in this election, please, you're welcome to always visit Sorsogon. We have what we call a people's mansion, which can accommodate about 25 people. It's owned by provincial government. I didn't call it the governor's mansion dahil baka maging issue. It's a facility designed to entertain any guest that may want to visit Sorsogon as the host, as guests of the provincial government. So please feel free, whoever wants to do go, let us host you when you get there. I'm in favor, pabor ako sa legislated minimum wage hike, sabi ko kanina. Pero kaunti na pamasahe, kung hindi bibigay ng gobyerno, yung ayuda na pinangako nila sa transport sector dahil election ban daw, walang choice kundi taasan ng pamasahe. Kawawa naman yung mga driver. Kanino nila papasa yung mataas na presyo ng produktong petrolyo? I was born in 1969. Mahirap kalimutan yung birthday ko. 10-10 na 69 pa. Tumatawa pa kayo sa 10-10 o... Anyway, 10-10 na 69 pa. Kaya...
I like both. I like both.
Ito na sa buong buhay ko mula ng pinanganak ko, pinakamataas na presyo ng gasolina at diesel. Sa totoo lang. Siguro kayo din. Kawawa naman yung mga driver natin kung natin sila papahintulutan na magtaas ng pamasahe. At tulad ng sabi ko kanina, mas kawawa sila. Yung mayamang may-ari ng gasolinahan pwede magtaas ng presyo kahit kailan. Pero yung pobreng driver ng jeep at tricycle at pampublikong sakyan, kailangan nilang hintayin payagan muna sila ng LTFRB at ng local government bago magtaas ng singil. That is clearly unfair. That is clearly anti-poor. I want to look into and study number one, to give the government the power to put a cap on the price of oil. How? By re-establishing the OPSF, or Oil Price Stabilization Fund. Ano yun? Yung Oil Price Stabilization Fund, it's a fund na binibigyan ng subsidiya yung kumpanya ng langis para lang huwag magtaas ng presyo. Kasi pag nagtaas ng presyo ng langis, domino effect yan, pamasahe, sweldo, bilihin. Diba? Pangalawa, kapangyarihan sa gobyernong ibaba yung buwis pag tumataas yung presyo, especially the percentage tax. I'll give an example. If, for example, VAT is at 10%, it's only an example para madali mag-compute, mahina ako sa math. Kung ang presyo ng langis 30 pesos kada litro, ang buwis ay 10%, edi ang kita ng gobyerno 3 pesos per liter. Eh naging 70. So instead of 3 pesos per liter, government all of a sudden is earning 7 pesos per liter. They have a windfall of 4 pesos per liter. In real terms, alam niyo kung magkano yun? For the past month and a half, that is equivalent to roughly 78 billion pesos additional revenue. And yet, ang ibigay sa transport sector natin, 5 billion. Ang bibigay na ayuda ng 200 pesos per month is only totaling 33 billion. May sukli pa sila. Di ba? So, dapat may kapangyarihan silang ibaba yung buwis para hindi kasama yung gobyerno sa pagtaas ng presyo. Pangatlo, dapat bigyan natin ng kapangyarihan ng gobyerno magtatag ng tinatawag nating Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Ano ito? Petroleum Reserve, ibig sabihin imbakan stockpiling ng langis. Huwag tayong bibili yan. Bumili tayo pag mababa ang presyo. Itago natin para may malalabas tayo na binili sa murang presyo. Una muna sa transport sector, kung marami tayong natago, edi sa publiko, to the public in general. Most countries in Europe and America have this. I'm not inventing this. Mga lang tayo, di ba, ng best practices kaysa mag-invento pa tayo?
Yeah.
Ang Amerika, 2 weeks ago, started releasing from their strategic petroleum reserve 1 million barrels of oil a day to help keep the prices stable and low. Ang utos ni President Biden, continue releasing at 1 million barrels per day until September of 2022. It roughly gives you an idea kung gaano tatagal itong mataas na presyo ng produktong petrolyo. At the very least, until September. Diba? Sa atin, walang sinasabi kung gaano katagal ba to, hanggang kailan ba to. Ang ginagawa na lang ng gobyerno dahil wala silang kapangyarihan maglagay ng cap at babaan yung buwis para silang radio announcer. Bukas, magtataas ng 7 piso. Sa susunod na linggo, bababa ng 2 piso. Government is powerless right now under our laws. So I seek to amend and change that as well. Again, huwag na tayo mag-invento, mga tayo sa ibang bansa. Ang ginamit ng mga bansa sa Europa, particular Italy, alam niyo kung anong ginawa nila? Nagbigay ng subsidy. Ang ginawa ng gobyerno ngayon, nagbigay lamang ng 5 bilyong loan window para sa MSMEs. Matagal na ubos yun. Again, about 90% of our economy are MSMEs. Kung naka-access man sila, matagal na ubos yun. 5 bilyon lang eh. Ang dapat nabigay na subsidiya ng gobyerno, tulad ng ginawa sa ibang bansa, pang-sweldo sa empleyado. Tandaan mo, ang MSMEs ay less than 10 employees lamang. Pang-sweldo ng empleyado for 6 months to 12 months. Bakit? Para kahit lugi, may pambayad naman sa empleyado, bukas ang negosyo. May sweldo ang empleyado, iikot ang ekonomiya dahil mag-grocery yan, mamamalengke, mamamasahe, may bibilin. Pangalawa, similar to the rent control law. Kung familiar kayo sa rent control law, ang namumupahan sa presyong hindi tataas sa X amount, hindi pwedeng palayasin at hindi pwedeng taasan ng renta at upa. Dapat gawin din natin yun sa MSMEs. Imbis na hindi pwedeng taasan, babaan hanggat hindi pa nakaka-recover ng lubusan ng ekonomiya at unti-unting itaas. In the meantime, hindi siya pwedeng paalisin. Pangatlo, bigyan ng leeway at panahon para magbayad ng buwis ang mga MSMEs. Pwede nilang hulugan yung buwis na dapat bayaran sa gobyerno for 3 to 5 years instead of immediately paying it on the month that it falls due, on the month na kinita nila yung pera. Ito at iba pang estratehiya ang ginamit sa mga bansa sa Europa at Amerika na pwede rin natin magamit dito para mahakay ang MSME na muling makabangon, muling makatayo sa kinakalagyan nila sa ngayon. Mahalaga para sa akin dahil mag-isa ako naglilibot. Hindi ako nag-attend ng rally, hindi ako nag-attend ng motorcade, parang independent ng kandidatura ko. So malaking bagay yun at nagpapasalamat ako sa mga grupo, personalidad, asosasyon na nag-endorso ng aking kandidatura. Pero higit pa ron, siguro ang mas mahalaga yung puntong ito. Pwede naman pala magkaisa at magkasundo yung mga nag-aaway-aaway na kulay sa kandidatura ko man. Pwede rin pala magkaisa sila sakasakali sa ibang bagay. Plataforma, ikabubuti ng bansa, at dahil ng-endorso ko ng karamihan sa kanila, may papel akong pwedeng gampanan kaugnay sa pagtagpi-tagpi, pagbati-bati ng mga nag-aaway ng mga kulay. Alalahanin natin. Pula man ang dalawang kulay, pink man ang dalawang kulay, puti at asul man ang dalawang kulay. Pagkatapos ng eleksyon, pare-pareho tayo dapat ng kulay. Kulay na sumasagisag na lamang sa bandila at watawat ng ating bansa. The colors we should be carrying after this election or after any election should only be the colors of our flag. Red, white, blue with a dash of yellow. Sa dulo, pare-pareho pa rin tayong Pilipino. Pare-pareho pa rin tayo naninirahan sa Pilipinas. Huwag natin sanang kalimutan yun. Sana pagkatapos ng eleksyon, huwag natin tingnan yung kapwa natin depende sa kung sino ang sinuportahan yung nagdaang eleksyon. At kung nagkamali yung sinisigaw niyang kandidato ngayon, dahil pagkatapos niya manalo, huwag na natin pagawayan. Hindi niya naman kasalanan yun, hindi naman niya alam na gagawin yun kung sakasakali. Ito na ang pinakamainit na eleksyon nakita ko mula nung sumali ako sa halalan.
Yes.
Bakit mainit? Hindi dahil nagpapatayan yung mga kandidato. Mainit dahil nag-aaway-away yung mga supporter.
Yes.
Magkamag-anak, magkatrabaho, magkaibigan, magkapitbahay, hindi nag-uusap, nag-aaway, nag-unfollow sa isa't isa dahil alam magkaiba ang kulay na dinadala.
Nag-block.
I'd like to remind our people, yung mga tumatakbo, hindi sila magkakaaway ha.
Exactly.
Kunwari lang.
Yeah.
Pagkatapos na eleksyon, kumadre, kamusta ka na?
Nag-inom pa no?
Kung yung mga kandidato nag-aaway, hindi talaga magkakaaway, magkakaibigan, tayo pa na sumusuporta lang. So sana, huwag nating kalimutan yon. Gaano man kainit makarating ang halalan ng eleksyon. At sana matuto rin tayong gumalang sa nag-iisang batas na sinusunod sa isang demokrasya. In a democracy, we follow only one rule and one law only. Not who's right, not who's wrong, but simply the will of the majority. In a democracy, yun lang ang batas na sinusunod. Kung anong gusto ng nakararami, yan ang masusunod. Walang karapatan sino man sabihin na tama yan. Walang karapatan sino man sabihin na mali yan. Basta yan ang gusto ng nakararami, yan ang dapat natin sunding lahat. At huwag nating husgahan ang pasya ng ating mga kababayan. Nakapag-aral man ng siya o hindi, may laman man na pera ang bulsa niya o wala. Lahat tayo tigil-tigil sila ng boto pagdating ng eleksyon. Mayaman o mahirap, may isura o wala, babae o lalaki. Actually, that's the greatest equalizer in Philippine society, which happens only once every 3 years. Tigil-tigil tayo lahat ng boto sa kwartong to. Kahit si Paulong Duterte pa ang pangalan mo, o kahit janitor ka sa isang eskwelahan, tigisan din sila ng boto. It only happens once every 3 years. Let's make the most out of it.
Yes.
And let's not make it a reason for us to fight with each other.
Governor, do you and Hart have different candidates in mind? You don't have to say
Actually, I
who,
think so.
but you're not imposing.
Hindi siya natatakot na i-impose ko. Takot ako pag in-impose niya. Doon ka sa kabilang kwarto, awag mo na rito. Darling naman, isang linggo na tayo hindi nakita sa kabilang kwarto pa. I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, but she hasn't made up her mind. I have, but she hasn't made up her mind. So let's see, I'm not trying to influence her. It's nice. Para pag natalo yung kandidatong sinusuportahan, kung nanalo yung kandidatong sinusuportahan niya, siya na bahala sa akin. Kung nanalo yung kandidatong sinusuportahan, kung natalo yung kandidato, hindi ako na
YouTube ka na rin. Check ko na rin.
Do you show each other's list from in the past, like list
in
of
the past?
list of senators?
Actually, we have the same sample ballot. We both vote in Barangay Buhatan, Sorsogon City. We're given the same sample ballot. Pero nasa sa kanya na kung pupunuin ba niya yun, dadagdagan niya, babawasan niya. O kung ako lang ang boboto niya sa pagka-senador, hindi natin alam, malay mo.
Wanted ko mag-do.
I don't know. You know, there's a reason kung bakit may folder sa voting booth. Para hindi tayo magkopyahan at magkakitaan. Kaya huwag na tayo magtanungan. Sa actual ng botohan, bawal sumilip eh. Di ba? Bawal mamboso eh. Ganun din ngayon. Kaya may takip, di ba? Remember, there's a folder covering your ballot when you vote. Because it's supposed to be sacred. And it's supposed to be between you and the ballot.
Does she have any influence on how you come up with laws, like how you run Sorsogon, and this time with the list of upcoming legislations in mind? Does she have any say to it?
She gives me inputs, definitely. And that's the nice thing about coming from different worlds. I never get to see that perspective. For example, she helped me out insofar as establishing the only provincial shelter that I know of for dogs.
Yeah.
And we found a purpose for it dahil when I looked at the data after she brought it up, when I looked at the data, 80% na aksidente sa motorsiklo sa aming lalawigan dahil may nasagasaang stray dog yung motor. Rason para bumagsak ang motor. Ewan ko what your statistics and data in Cebu is. Probably there are accidents too caused by stray dogs.
Yes.
We have a total of 78,000 stray dogs in the province. So we're conducting a process of neuter and spaying, and we're conducting a process to provide them shelter. Pero hindi siya losing proposition. When I did my research too, we found out na hindi lang pala German Shepherd ang dog sniffer. Hindi naman pala imported na aso lang nakakaamoy ng drugs at bomba. Kaya naman pala makakaamoy din ng aspin at ng askal. Basta sinimula mo yung training siya mula sa pagkabata.
Yeah.
Ang aspin, askal, nasa 60 to 80,000 kada isa na kukunin ng security agency para sa mga airport, sa hotel, gano'n. Ang imported na aso, 300 to 600,000. But any which way, at least you were able to repurpose that aspin, askal, stray dog's life. Number 2 would be paintings. Heart loves to paint. In fact, she has forced me to paint too. Anong gagawin ko? 3 oras na nagpe-painting. Ano naman panoorin ko lang siya, di ba? E di kumuha na rin ako ng canvas at sinubukan ko mag-paint. Yung mga painting ni Heart, mahal. Pricey. Yung painting ko, priceless. Kasi walang bumibili. Ang epekto naman, yung mga painting ko nasa bahay. Kasi walang bumibili. Yung mga painting niya wala sa bahay kasi nabenta na lahat. So, I found that and I took off from there. Nag-organize ako ng painting competition sa Sorsogon. All Sorsogon artists, we expanded it later to Bicolano artists. We supplied them with the materials, we provided the competition, but the provincial government owns all the paintings.
Yeah.
So we provided different topics and issues. What to you is Sorsogon? Sorsogon now and beyond. Sorsogon, the pandemic and frontliners. And they were free to design their own paintings, but we specified the medium, oil, para magtagal. So now I have adorned all of our hospitals, all of our provincial buildings and edifices with paintings done by Sorsogonans, and you would be quite impressed if you see it. Because 10 years from now, 20 years from now, this pandemic will be part of history.
Yeah.
It'll be nice for people to see what it's like to wear a mask 24/7 when you're outdoors.
Yeah.
20 years from now, people will look back at this time and say, ganun kayo noon? Grabe naman! It's going to be part of our history. So I wanted to document it, and I got that from her too.
Wow.
It's nice.
Gusto niyang panghimasukan yung pag-design ng uniforme ng mga estudyante, sabi ko hindi na kayang bayaran ng provincial government. Like, okay na yan, okay. No.
Oh.
I tried to run for vice president and lost.
Yeah.
Kung hindi ka pa makakuha ng clue, ng pahiwatig, hindi naman ako bingi, bulag, at pipe para hindi makita yung cue. No. Out of 110 million Filipinos, hindi ko naman pwedeng sabihin ako lang ang pwede mag-resolve ng problema ng bansa.
That's right.
Hindi man ako, maraming mas magaling pa siguro kaysa sa akin na kaya yun. Naniniwala ako that the presidency is a matter of destiny. Hindi mo pwedeng gustuhin yan. Hindi mo pwedeng paghandaan ng sobra yan. Sa totoo lang, kung sa'yo, sa'yo. Kung hindi sa'yo, hindi sa'yo. Parang pag-ibig din yan. Kung nakalaan para sa'yo, nakalaan para sa'yo. Hindi. Kahit anong gawin mo, kahit gano'n ka kaganda, kagwapo, kayaman, mapipigod ka lang kung hindi ka pinilit, yung mas pangit ang pinili sa'yo. So, anong gagawin natin? Pag-ibig yun eh. It's a matter of destiny, not choice.
Yeah.
Akala ko naman, pag pinag-usapan natin yung presidente, yung bansa ang pinag-usapan.
First lady. Yeah.
Akala ko pa naman dahil may ang
Influential ba yung first lady?
First lady?
It will be a fashion show.
But you know what? Most of the things she's wearing are either lent or given to her.
Yeah.
Because when she wears it, it gets posted, people tend to buy it. Remember when she went to Fashion Week? Last minute she decided to buy shades. And the shades was sold out worldwide.
Yes.
And they were pointing to
After
this
that.
Asian girl that's wearing these shades. Kasi may picture
Yes.
sa Instagram. Worldwide, yun ang tinuturo. Unfortunately, she's not an endorser of that brand. So, hindi siya nabigyan, binili pa niya yung ginamit niya yun. But it's branding.
It
It's
wasn't
part
a
of the
real
process.
thing.
At least she gets noticed by the other brands.
Is there a point that you get irked or annoyed that you are more tagged as Hart's husband, not as the kind of man that you have built on?
No, because I'm not overconfident, but for sure I'm not insecure. I know who and what I am, and I was who and what I am before I even met her. Remember, I was already a senator when I met her. So nothing can take that away anymore from me. A source of security. Ang pinakamahirap na karelasyon ng asawa, sinasabi ko sa'yo, insecure. Wala ka nang gagawin tama pag insecure yung asawa mo o partner mo. Kaya mamili ka ng kahit na hindi ka gwapuhan tulad ng ginawa ni Hart. Basta hindi insecure. Mas maganda na yan kaysa gwapong insecure.
So you were perfectly alright looking at the Balasin photos that went viral.
Which one? The sexy photos?
Yes.
Yeah, the white.
Kahit ako, sa tagal kong nawawala dahil nasa Sorsogon ako palagi, at least nakikita ko kahit na paano. Kaysa naman hindi ko nakikita. Hindi ba? Kaysa naman hindi ko nakikita. It's okay, we
Ako ba
belong,
na ito
we
mag-wild
belong to
na?
different worlds. In fact, the traditional politician's wife would dictate, the norms would dictate, that you should not do that, you should not do this. But she's spending her own money. She's earning her own money. She's not spending my money. And clearly, Hart is far richer than I am. Basta, hindi niya lang ako idamay. Meaning, may pera naman siya, bili niya yung gusto niya, huwag niya akong idamay. Dahil kung hindi, pareho kami malulubog sa kumunoy. Someone should be responsible and let that be me. If she's wearing designer stuff, hindi ako nag-advertise. Everything I'm wearing straight down, socks, briefs, shirt, pants, I will get from Uniqlo. The sizes are perfect for me. Off the rack ako sa Uniqlo. So,
May endorsement.
kung gaman, hindi naman ako pinipinendorse lang yan, hindi ko.
Same here.
Kahit biling ko lahat, mura naman. Kaya okay lang. And they have better quality than the
Quality.
branded ones. Again, I'm not
Yes.
endorsing Uniqlo. Kaya lang my experience. I believe so. Former President JMA issued an executive order requiring it of all LGUs. That has since been forgotten after her term as president. I intend to bring it back alive, but also providing for counterpart funding from the national government, because training requires money. In our case, all of our municipalities were trained by the Development Academy of the Philippines, and we spent for it. So now, out of 14 towns and 1 city, the city is ISO certified, and 8 of the remaining 14 towns are ISO certified. What's the difference? It improves the processes of local government units. It identifies accountability and responsibility of each office. It makes the process simpler. And if someone cheats, lies, or steals, it's easy to pinpoint as well. From the mundane issues to the bigger issues. For example, kasama sa management systems namin, dapat ang aircon 26 ang temperature pag summer at 24 pagkatapos ng summer. Dapat ang mga bibili naming aircon pag may nasira, papalitan namin na may climate control. Hindi yung low cool, medium cool, high cool na palagi nakawan yung thermostat. Sa mga hospital namin na hindi air-conditioned yung kwarto, 2 electric fan, kada shift ng nurse, dapat pinapatay ng nurse yung isa at isa lang nakabukas. Hindi pwedeng naka-on pareho. Dapat sa mga opisina, pinapatay ng 1 oras during lunchtime para makapahinga yung aircon. Dahil pag nasira, at natuto sila nung unang mga buwan ko pa lang, sinabihan ko na hindi sumunod nung nasira. Hindi ako purposely bumili agad ng aircon at pinapili ko sila. Sasara nyo ng 1 oras sa loob ng 1 araw o 4 na buwan kayong walang aircon. So na-realize nila mas magandang isara. Kina-car wash on a weekly basis yung mga kotse namin. Alam kung kailan siya i-change oil para matiyak na ma-maintain yung mga sasakyan. Nilagyan namin ng GPS yung mga sasakyan namin. All emergency vehicles, including police cars of the PNP, including the ambulances of all LGUs, including the DRM vehicles of all LGUs. Hinook up namin sa 911 system namin para pwede namin tawagan o radyohan yung pinakamalapit na emergency vehicle because we have a map pointing to where each one is within the province of Sorsogon. So if it's a law enforcement problem, then we call the nearest police car there. If it's a vehicular accident, then we call the Bureau of Fire nearest there or the DRM. All of these are part of our processes na naayos at ginawa namin dahil at sa pamamagitan ng ISO.
So,
Nice.
Na kung magagawa sa buong bansa, di ba? Sana all yun ang sana all. We have a docket system. Dati kasi kada opisina merong messenger, tiga-dala, tiga-hatid ng dokumento, tiga-follow up ng dokumento sa mga opisina ng provincial government. Gumawa kami ng docket system generated by our own IT office. Lahat ng papasok ng dokumento, pipicturean, ka-capture para pag may nawala, may file pa rin kami palagi. Pag inikot at ni-route yan sa kada opisina, may aging process kami. Pag tumagal ng dapat tinatagal yung dokumento ron, automatic na red flag na i-generate, manonotify yung opisina na bakit nandyan ba yung papel. Pati ako as governor, may red flag at alam ko may nagde-delay na papel doon, may nag-age na papel doon. Huwag nilang hintayin na makita ko sila kung may nag-age na papel. Kaya, mas maganda at smooth yung aming proseso. Tinanggal namin yung mga liaison at messengers dahil gumawa kami ng parang grab system. We got 6 motorcycles na umiikot sa lahat ng opisina ng provincial government, including 9 hospitals. Pagkuha ng papel, sabay bagsak na rin ng papel, they go around the offices 4 times a day with 2 motorcycles on standby for emergency papers that need to be signed immediately. Again, part of the ISO system of the province. If you're high in the surveys, you pray and hope not. If you're low in the surveys, you pray that there will be changes. Ganun naman yung malagi eh. Unless something earth-shaking happens. I think roughly it will be already that for the first 6. And then you have to look at the difference in margin of error for those in the lower 6. And that's where you will probably see changes. So unless may madapa big time, halos yun na yun. Lalo na kung pinag-uusapan mo, 20-30% na lamang. Pero nakita natin din sa politika na sa eleksyon. Minsan may nangyayaring hindi ina-expect. So let's see. That's what makes elections exciting. So syempre yung lamang ang pinagdarasal, wala nang magbago. Syempre yung nag-ahabol ang pinagdarasal na may mangyari at may magbago. At the end of the day, you still count the votes cast on election day, not the votes expressed through a survey. Kaya nakita mo naman, yung matataas, nagtatrabaho pa rin, nangangampanya pa rin. Take for example, the leading candidates for President and Vice President, di ba? Tuloy-tuloy lang ang kampanya ni Senator Marcos, ni Mayor Inday Sara, kahit na gaano kataas yung survey. The same is true dun sa mga mabababa. Nangangampanya pa rin sila, wala pa rin tigil, hanggang sa huling araw ng kampanya, which is how it should be. Who is to say that they're more competent simply because they're more educated?
Ay,
At the end of the day, as I said earlier, sa demokrasya, isa lang ang batas na sinusunod natin, yung gusto ng nakararami. The only educational requirement to run for public office, even president is that you can read and write. Hindi requirement ang college degree, hindi requirement ang high school degree. Ang requirement lang is able to read and write. Remember the qualifications for president? President na yun, nilalo na sila to. Roughly the same. The difference is age. Natural born citizen, resident of the Philippines for at least 6 months, a year for senator and president. Registered voter would be number 3. Able to read
and right.
and write. Diba? Yun lang naman ang requirement eh. Wala namang ibang requirement eh. And you would be surprised. some of those who you expect least of, they actually get to deliver. Because at the end of the day, hindi mo pwedeng ituro ang malasakit sa eskwelahan. Hindi mo mapapatunayan sa degree na may malasakit siya at pagmamahal sa bayan. Makikita mo yun sa gawa, sa puso, at sa isip pag nandun na. So I don't discount the talent, ability of any person to run, whatever his profession may be right now. Teacher man siya, artista man siya, singer man siya, dancer man siya, abogado man siya, doktor man siya, pantay-pantay ang tingin ng balota ron. Pare-pareho silang qualified, tumakbo at mabuhan. No. I'm not in favor of lockdowns from the beginning. Actually, kung binigay sa lokal na pamahalaan ng pagdidesisyon bilang governor, hindi ako mag-lockdown sa aming probinsya. Ang pinaka-lockdown kong ginawa sa aming probinsya, nung binigay sa amin pansamantala yung kapangyarihan to decide, was locking down our province only on weekends. Sabado at linggo lang. Binawasan ko ng 28%, 2 days out of 7 days in a week, yung galaw at movement ng mga kababayan namin. Pero may exemption pa. Yung nagtatrabaho sa tourism sector, restaurants, resorts, bars, exempted sila. Bisita, dayuhan, turista, exempted din sila. Para tuloy-tuloy umikot ang ekonomiya at mabalanse ko on the one hand, kalusugan, kaligtasan ng mga kababayan natin, and on the other hand, economy, hanap buhay at kita ng mga kababayan namin. If we look back to these years, 10 years from now, what we might realize and see after studies are made would be this. Mas maraming Pilipino nagutom, naghirap at namatay dahil sa lockdown kaysa dahil sa COVID-19.
Yes.
Yung mga nakatira sa maliit na bahay na hindi mo papayagan lumabas, 8, 10, 12 sila, ila-lockdown mo, lalong magkakahawaan yun. So sana, huwag na tayong bumalik sa panahon ng mga lockdown dahil after 2 years, tingin ko naman alam na ng Pilipino kung anong dapat at hindi dapat gawin para hindi magka-COVID. It should now be a shared responsibility between government and the people. Hindi puro gobyerno na lang, lockdown, ayuda, lockdown, ayuda, lockdown, ayuda. It should be a shared responsibility already between the people and the government or the state. 50 billion is realizable. Actually, kulang pa rin yan. Kulang pa rin yan. Dahil housing is not a problem of funding. For me, housing is not a problem of land, of cement, of steel, na yero. Housing is always a problem of financing. Why? All the studies have shown one thing and one thing only. Ang pag-ibig, 6,000 a month ang hulog. May bahay ka na raw. Diba? Kung pag-ibig member ka. Pero kung 6,000 a month ang amortization, ang kaya mo lang bigyan ng babahay ng Pilipino na walang bahay is only about 8%. The key to housing for me is paano mo mapapababa? Kumuha ka ng magaling sa finance na housing czar. Huwag contractor. Hindi to question ng construction. Kumuha ka ng magaling na finance czar na magiging housing czar, at bigay mo sa kanya itong misyon na ito. Pababain mo ng 300 piso ang hulog kada buwan ng sino mang Pilipinong walang bahay. Then you can promise that every Filipino who doesn't have a house can have a house. So, kasi yun lang yung disposable income ng mahirap na Pilipino para sa housing, para may makain pa rin siya, para may pamasahe pa rin siya, para pambili siya ng damit. Hanggang hindi yan bumababa ng 300 pesos a month, hindi mo kayang ipangako na lahat ng walang bahay magkakabahay. Now, how do you do that? How do you achieve that? I'm not a finance expert, but here are some thoughts. Huwag mo ibigay yung lupa, i-usufruct mo lang. So kung ikaw pa rin ang may-ari ng lupa, mas mura na agad ang mabayaran niya. Imbis na 15 taon, imbis na 25 taon, gawin mo 50 taon. Paano lang mapababa yung hulog niya? At the end of the day, as I said, you cannot construct enough houses for free kahit mabayaran mo pa. Kung gano'n ang scheme mo, kaya mo lang sabihin na, halimbawa na, hindi ako tumatakwa. Pag ako naging, kaya kong mabigyan ng bahay ang bawat Pilipinong walang bahay. Hindi sa pamamagitan ng pag-allocate ng pondo pag-construct ng bahay. Kung kaya niyang pababain yung hulog kada buwan ng sino man gustong magkabahay. Doon lang magkakaroon ng bahay ang bawat Pilipino walang sariling tayo. Hiling at dalangin ko muli ang tulong, suporta, paniniwala at pagtitiwala hindi lamang ng mga Cebuano pero ng lahat ng ating mga kababayan. Nag-a-apply ako para maging miyembro ng Senado, para maging kampiyon ninyo, para maging tagapagtanggol, para maging tagapaghatid ng boses ninyo sa Senado. Ang iniaalay ko, anumang talino, talento, galing, tapang o karanasan meron ako para makapagbigay at makapaghanap ng mga solusyon sa mabibigat na problema ng ating bansa sa ngayon. Sa bigat ng problema ng bansa, hindi ko yata kaya tingnan ang sarili ko sa salamin na hindi man lang ialay ang aking sarili para hanapan ng solusyon ng mga problemang ito. Matapos ang halalang ito, sino man ang mapipili ng ating mga kababayan, naway pagsilbihan nila o namin ng tapat ang ating mga kababayan. And one more message perhaps, dahil nga sa init ng eleksyon, awayan at bangayan na nangyayari at nakikita natin ngayon. I saw this on TikTok, it might be relevant. The quote in English goes something like this. We don't have to agree on anything to be kind to one another. So kindly bear that in mind. Hindi natin kailangan pagkasunduan ang lahat ng bagay o kahit na isang bagay man lang para maging mabuti tayo sa isa't isa. Having different colors that you're supporting in this election doesn't give you the right to be rude. Doesn't give you the right to oppose or fight with your friend, with your neighbor, with a person you don't even know. Let us learn to respect each other's prerogatives, options, and rights. And then and only then can we truly say that this is a democratic and peaceful process by which we can choose or will choose the next leaders of our country from president down to municipal councilor. Again, maraming salamat sa pagkakataon, salamat sa oras, at salamat.